My name is Kelsey Van Beek, and I'm going to show you how to make a jewelry holder. I have with me Robin, Katie, and Joe. And let's get started. Alright, so a lot of you women can comprehend about jewelry. You know, I have a lot of jewelry, and it's pretty much hanging everywhere. It's a mess, especially since I moved. Everything's a mess. So this is a fun and unique way to organize better. Even if you don't have like dangly items, necklaces perhaps, it's just something that you can do. It's a little different. This will be the end result. It's a jewelry holder. I have a frame with chicken wire. I put fabric in the back just to add a little dimension to it. And then I have a really dark colored frame to it too, because it really pops out the green, and that's one of my favorite colors. There's a couple basic steps. There's a lot of different ways you can do this. The one thing you have to keep in mind is your design. Really look for what do you need. I have a lot of dangly earrings and I have a lot of necklaces, so the chicken wire works well for me. Some other times you can use screen wire. Or you can use just smaller things that you find at home. I use a lot of things that I find at home. I actually pick up all of my frames from secondhand stores or places that just sit around. So the materials you're going to need are a frame. I already have this one painted just for purposes of this demonstration. You're going to need different types of sandpaper. I have a coarse, a fine, and then I have a very coarse sandpaper because the wood, the grain of the wood can sometimes be, you know, really hard to try to get the varnish off of it, or sometimes it's really easy, so the different grains help you. The other thing you need is chicken wire. I already pre-cut this just for this demonstration, so it'd be easier. And then I have fabric as well. Other things you need are needle nose, wire clippers, scissors, and you'll also need a staple gun and staples. This is an electric one, and no, it's not plugged in. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to sandpaper your frame. It's going to look a lot like this one. I already sandpapered it. The grain on this was pretty fine, so I used less coarse sandpaper. It was really easy for it to come off. After it's sandpapered, you're going to gesso. And gesso is another material you're going to need. It acts like a primer. You want to put the gesso on because it will help the paint adhere better to the wood. You really can use this on anything. You can use it on paper, cardboard. When I do a lot of portrait painting, I use gesso on cardboard because you can find cardboard anywhere and it's cheaper than canvas. So you just need a brush to do that. I wanted to demonstrate how to put gesso on because it's really important. Depending on the gesso you have, there's an acrylic gesso and there's an oil-based gesso. And then there's an acrylic and oil mixture, and that's what this is. And so it's really particular when you put it on that you can find streaks, and you don't want that to happen. So I'm going to show you how to put gesso on this one. Just the direction that you really want to go out for. Get my gesso brush. Before applying this, always shake it, so that way it mixes really well. And then when I open this, I use the gesso from the lid instead of dipping my brush in there. It's just a lot easier. So I'm going to apply it to both sides of the brush, so that way I have both sides covered. And then what I really want to do is, since I'm a lefty, I go from right to left in a straight motion just across, and I continue doing this. I don't go back and forth like this, and I don't change direction because it really just, it will show, and you don't want those lines to show at all. Get a little bit more on here. So I continue going from a right to left motion until that first coat's on. Once the first coat's on, you let it dry for half an hour. And then you put on a second coat. The second coat probably takes about an hour just because that first coat already is on there, and the thicker the gesso, the longer it will take to dry. Once the gesso's dried, you're able to apply your paint. I'm the type of person that likes to mix my own paint, so I have to get all the preparations ready for mixing that. I have my color palette right here. The color that I decided to do for this frame was a blue, so I mixed this color myself. It's really simple. You just need the colors you're going to mix. If you know how to mix the paints, I used 2 different shades of blue, and I used white, a black, and a yellow, and I got this color. You start with the blue and the white, you mix the color, the yellow gives it a little bit more warmth, and the black just kind of tones it down if it's a little too bright. I applied the first coat. This one is curved, so I had to apply it on the back as well as the front, because when I hang it on a wall you're going to see parts of the back, and I didn't want it to be wood. On frames like this one are flat, you don't have to do the back, you can do just the top and add the colors there. So once you apply that, what you're going to do, you're going to let it dry, and acrylic paint usually takes 2 hours, sometimes 3, to dry. You want to take your chicken wire. When you cut your chicken wire out, you want it to sit for, you want it to be about 1 inch wider on every side. So this piece of chicken wire right here is going to go on the back of it. But if I lay it flat, it sticks out on the sides. And you want that to happen because you're going to cut away the excess. So I'm going to show you how to apply this. This is what you'll need the staple gun for. This one has a safety on it, so I don't have to worry about me shooting anybody. I turn it on, and the first thing you're going to do is you're going to start on corner, and I like working clockwise, so I start in the bottom corner and I work to the right. So I place that there. And all I do is I push, make sure it's on, and I start. And then I work in the next corner. And I can get that one down. These electric staple guns have safeties on them. Don't like it. And you got that down. Once you have the 4 corners down, it's a little bit more malleable. You can stretch it if you want it to be a little bit tighter. Honestly, I only put like 2 staples on every side. So I put 1. And then what happens is you have this access right here that's hanging out on the side. If that is, you can put another staple down. And then what I do is I take my wire cutters and then I snip off the outside of them. Sides that I don't need anymore. And then you continue going around the whole thing, and what happens is you have the excess cut off. That's why you want to cut it 1 inch a little bit longer. And then if you have some sides that are poking up that you don't want there, just take the needle nose and bend it backwards. Once you have that done, you take your fabric, if you're going to use fabric, that is. You cut this 1 inch wider as well, and then you place it over the back. And I start in the right corner, and then I move up and clockwise and to the right. As I'm doing that, I'm pulling the fabric to tighter so it's not so loose. I want it to be tight because I can put like stud earrings inside that as well. It acts like a mesh to hold the earrings in if you have a back to it, so it's a lot simpler. And then once you're finished with that, you have a complete jewelry holder. It's pretty simple. The back of it, if you can tell, it's just a fabric, and I do have some of the piercings, some studs in there as well, so you can see some of those. And then I'll flip it, you can see the front. You can hold it. Alright. It's great. Everyone's still here. And we're all done.